Okay, that music, that terrible music is still going on. I tried to, play some other tones out there to discourage them, but they cut off my Wi-Fi. I had to relog on. Anyway, let me try to continue on because, oh dear, I think I didn't put part three in the title. This is part three of Elon Musk is Werner von Braun. And where I left off on the story, I was talking about the interdimensional communications. I was talking about the way every time I logged into Twitter, Elon Musk would have a post right after mine that would echo something I was saying or something I was thinking that made me think that he was a part of the interdimensional, intergalactic communications network working at the underground level to undermine the European nationalist domination of the earth. Now, don't forget, all of these things happened unwinding in time that I'm not aware, I'm not putting the pieces together until time has gone by. I'm just knowing that I'm being asked to be significant along the lines that I had planned to be significant when I went to Yale, and that I'm getting interdimensional communications from time travelers, as well as from people here on Earth who have the capability to communicate beyond their physical bodies using the electricity and the telepathic potential in the air. So by the time Elon Musk is having the baby with the woman, where he's having twins, like his, I don't know, 11th, 12th, 13th, I don't know how many kids. But this whole situation was problematic for me from the start. From the moment that he walked into my living room, it was a problem for me. But nonetheless, after a very profound indoctrination in Las Vegas, after I'd visited the Four Corners for the second or third time, I was headed to Las Vegas. Now, don't forget, by now everything was up in the air. By now, Trump is gone. COVID is still winding out. We're maybe in the second year. And it just isn't clear how anything is going to go forward. So I'm asking for clarification. I'm asking for physical proof. I'm asking for actual support. I'm asking, what's next? So I go to Las Vegas and I attend the Fremont Street Experience, which I love. I was just loving going there. And this was during one of the times where I had, telepathically communicated that I needed proof or I was finished. Okay. Because we'd already had the negotiations in Riverside, California, that I've told you about a few times. And, the introduction in my Phoenix apartment and the plan unwinding and the you cheated, I cheated, but you had a baby. All of this stuff going on in the interstitial spaces, right? The future that's going to roll in, not the past we're living with, the natural trajectory that we're on, but the future we're trying to roll in. So when I asked for proof, I go to Las Vegas and and it was kind of an ultimatum. Well, while I'm standing there, and this was in the winter, Christmas time, I guess, it must have been 2021. Yeah, it must have been Christmas 2020. So we would have lost Trump at the end of 1919, the beginning of 2020. And we go through that year of not really knowing, how is this going to work out? And that's when you heard Donald Trump say, everybody should get the virus. That was after he was already out of here. And there's another part of that story about Trump and General Patton and Trump as an eternal being, um, but how COVID was designed to destroy the bodies of the eternals, to actually dissolve them in their flesh. So you couldn't regenerate yourself in any kind of way. You had to be born again if you want to come back. Your spirit, your consciousness would actually have to be born again for you to come back. You'd have to be given a brand new physical vessel. So I was kind of recruited into that too. They also took out Vladimir Putin around the same time. You might remember that Trump and Putin were actually allies. Everybody wanted to get rid of the Nazis and the Israelis that were taking over the world. And that was before I even knew about their intergalactic slave trade and drug trade that had gone intergalactic, that made intergalactic law enforcement want to come after the people of the earth. I knew that they were mad at all the people of the earth, and I knew that my communications, I think that was my Bluetooth going off. I knew that my communications were very important to them, because until that point, all the Earthians had pretty much been silenced in intergalactic communications as much as we were silenced in the fake news media. So our messages weren't getting through. They didn't know that there were even any good, worthy people living on this planet until my messages started to get through, and other messages in my group and other informers, time travelers here, eternals here. And while I'm standing there, a man in a wheelchair, and it's a big wheelchair, and it's a big man, and he has a big, big belly, okay? And by now, no, that's before I started feeling pregnant, before I was carrying life, storing life, however you want to look at it. That's before all this. But he looked pregnant. He was huge, and he had beady eyes, okay? He had beady eyes, and his eyes were staring at me, and then he'd stare at the light show on the Fremont Street Experience, and then he'd stare at me. And I'm standing here by the wall near the D Hotel in the alley, and there's a stage right here where they do shows, and a TV screen is constantly running. And Werner von Braun is in a wheelchair on the side of the stage, and he's parked his wheelchair so he can look at me. And a short woman with high heel shoes who stomps around, who I'd seen before, she appears. And it's like that scene in The Matrix where they say, who did you notice in the picture? And they're like, the woman in the red dress. It's that kind of moment where that woman has that kind of a presence. And she walks over kind of to announce to me that, yeah, you're here for this. And I'm looking at this guy, and he just seems like a predator to me. He's so creepy. And he's got beady eyes, and he's looking at me, and he's looking at the display. So I start asking questions in my mind. I say, okay, if Elon Musk is here, show me through this animation, right? So a golden ball comes spinning through the spiral of the animation, and right behind it, another one comes, okay, breaking the pattern. And as that happens, the big man in the wheelchair looks his beady eyes at me, and looks at the screen, and looks at me, and we do it again a second time. And the picture comes out in a way to transmit a message to me. So I'm getting the feeling, oh, wow, that's Elon Musk. Elon Musk that we see is a hologram, as I had thought, especially after I saw the light show at one of their annual meetings. They publicized a light show where they had the light so dense that it really looked like a 3D object was created in the sky. And I said, oh my goodness, well, he has an avatar. This is the real Elon Musk. Well, there's no way I'm going to marry that. Right? And he's still standing there. He's still staring at me across the aisle. I'm still staring at him. And then the woman with the high heels comes out. And I look, and there's a line into the D Hotel. They've got a live strip show in there. And there's a line there, but there's a guy who's in line, but he's standing out of line. And he looks just like Elon Musk, only younger and chubbier, but still just like Elon Musk. But he's out of proportion with the other people. He looks like a projection. He doesn't look like a real man standing there. And he's looking at me too. So I got this one looking at me and this one looking at me. And this one, I'm like, this looks like a hologram, right? Well, shortly after that, the one who I think was Werner von Braun, he wheels his wheelchair away. He goes away. And his wheelchair, in my memory, is bigger. And Elon and Werner von Braun was a very big man. And I just felt like, wow, that was the real Elon Musk. And that was the Elon Musk hologram that they just showed me. And when I walked away from that area, then the woman in the big heels, she comes out, she kind of indicates, look at that guy. And I look and I see the hologram standing there. And it looks like a hologram. It doesn't look like it's part of the environment. It's out of proportion. That was the biggest thing. It was out of proportion. And the chubby guy's looking at me. He looks like Elon Musk. Other people are in the line, real people. And that's why you could kind of see this. This is somehow not a real person. And then this guy goes away with his beady eyes on me. And when I walked away from there, I had the strongest urge to run. And I was just laughing a little bit and saying, no way. There is no way that anything is going to move forward with this Elon Musk story. Elon Musk is not a real person. Elon Musk is a hologram. And that guy is Elon Musk. So it took me a little while after that to sort of put two and two together. I knew a couple of things, okay? Shortly after that, a very tall woman with white blonde hair would show up in my apartment building. And she would sort of show up when the gang stalkers were picking on me. And she would engage them in conversations and they would stop trying to harass me. So I saw her as an ally. But she never spoke, and she was kind of somber, and she was tall, and she kept giving me these vibes, She made me think of the performer Sia for some reason. She made me think of Sia. Now, by the time she's showing up, I've already done the Riverside thing. I've already gone to El Centro. I've already accepted the contract to carry human life, okay, for individuals with, a number on it. I'm not going to go through all that stuff right now. I'm sure I've told it before, but. And then I also start to see two other people that would show up, and I'd be on my balcony and they'd be in the pool and they would stare at me. Like they would make it very obvious that they were in alignment with me in some kind of way. And I just somehow got the feeling that was John F. Kennedy and Jackie Kennedy, older and looking like ordinary people. So because I was sort of thinking these people are the Kennedys and this one over here, is from another planet. And they all started appearing after I rejected this Elon Musk story. They started appearing in my environment. So I knew we were going to go on, that things were going to go on. I just wasn't sure how they were going to go on. And I knew that I was protected, and I knew that there were still friendly ones, and I knew that I was still heading where I was expected to head, but that a detour had been planned by people that knew enough about my future, about the intergalactic, interdimensional communications to interfere with this Elon Musk narrative. But I'm throwing that all away now, right? So then I see Werner von Braun, and I see that he's holding the rocket ship exactly like Elon Musk did. And I'm noticing that Elon Musk keeps telling us we have a threat, but he never articulates the threat, which means that he's the source of the threat in my mind. And no matter how many questions you ask him, he seems to say the same thing over and over again, like a computer-generated entity would. That he just says the same things over and over again. Meanwhile, everybody's saying, oh, he's a genius, he's so smart. And I'm saying, is that really your idea of genius? That's as bad as Stephen Hawking's for a snow job. These men are not geniuses. Geniuses must be able to articulate. Geniuses must be able to affect stuff. These guys are passively being touted as geniuses so that all the real geniuses can't get any public space, right? So now I'm actually starting to feel kind of hostile about this whole Elon Musk thing. That's when I started to really understand that Elon Musk is Werner von Braun's electronic avatar. That Werner von Braun never went away. You might notice that people never made a big deal about Werner von Braun in Operation Paperclip. People never said he is the man from the other planet, the representative from the other planet, directing the Nazis on how to destroy everybody and steal things. He is the agent that's taking them to the other galaxies with a sex trade. He was always in the background, but very obvious. He always appeared in pictures better dressed than the other men, bigger, somehow more clearly defined. Like I see people from other timelines. When they come in, they're just more density in their package. But then when I saw him get into the convertible with John F. Kennedy, and nobody in the media even made a comment about it, why was Werner von Braun privileged to get into the convertible with Kennedy and go away for a private conference with John F. Kennedy? But to me, that was the proof that he was the extraterrestrial that wasn't going to be put in the spotlight, kind of like being the vice president, right? Or the co-chairman. You don't have the spotlight of the top dog on you, but you've got all the power you need to get things done. Well, that's how they showed Werner von Braun, the same way that they show Elon Musk. Elon Musk is behind so many invasive, dangerous, militarized technologies. And the fake news keeps pumping him up. Somehow he's allowed to send all of these satellites into space without disclosing the true nature of these things. Somehow he's allowed to continue using public funds to develop mind control, but he's not scrutinized about it. We know that there's a danger coming from underground from the Jeffrey Epstein stories. And you might want to wonder, how come we hear so much about Puffy? And how come they have so many news trajectories about Puffy and the sex trade, but the big dog, Jeffrey Epstein, just goes into thin air? Well, they treat Elon Musk like that. Elon Musk is allowed to use American assets to take over NASA. He just took the place of Werner von Braun. He just is Werner von Braun. And Werner von Braun is a bad ET that has never had the best interests of humanity on his mind. He's always been about destruction. And he's always stayed just enough in the shadows to be hidden by the blood libelists that pull the wool over all of our eyes. So for us not to recognize that Elon Musk is the biggest threat in a human body or in a human representation, he's the biggest threat to humanity. And he's the continuation of the Nazi-Jew alliance against American freedom to covet all of our stuff and use it to continue to create the chains that bind us. Just like we have the international, scary word because it just means European domination of the world, the International Monetary Fund, using the wealth of other nations to create debt instruments for other nations while holding those other nations below the threshold of knowledge. Elon Musk took over Twitter. Twitter is going to be a huge repository for data on individuals. Twitter keeps track of what you think, how you say it, who you like, what you like, how you put things together, how you intellectualize things. And we have just been forced to give all that power over to Elon and let him accumulate a network, an interwoven spider web of power over everything it takes to continue to enslave us. He's got everything it takes to continue to enslave us. And still we don't interrogate him. Still we don't say, hey, because he's just that well protected by the blood libelous structure that was imported from Europe from the 1100s, been developing, and all of the Nazis from Operation Paperclip and their heirs that occupied the Ivy League, that created institutes like the Charles Lieber Biotechnology Nanotechnology Institute, where Charles Lieber also works for Wuhan, around the time when these bioweapons that can dissolve the insides of an eternal are put out. So whatever happens tomorrow, it's very important that we all understand the imminent danger of Werner von Braun and the continuation of Werner von Braun, known as Elon Musk. And when we say Elon Musk, we're not talking about an individual, but we are talking about somebody who is helping to weaponize cyberspace. Okay?